And I now give the floor to the representative of Russian Federation.
Спасибо.
Thank you, Mr. President. We wish to thank the Undersecretary General for Peace Operations, Mr. Jean-Pierre Lacroix, for the information that he has provided. The Russian Federation is deeply concerned, given the worsening security situation in many parts of Mali, as has been observed in recent months. There have been tragic reports about the deaths in the hands of jihadists, of military and civilian personnel. These attest to the magnitude and the severity of the threats faced by the country, and they point to its vulnerability in the face of the destabilizing forces as embodied in terrorists, organized crime, and extremist ideology. A central factor for normalizing the situation in Mali remains the following: implementation of the 2015 Agreement for Peace and Reconciliation. We note that a certain degree of progress has been achieved in the implementation of the provisions thereunder. What is bearing fruit is the disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration of process for former combatants. We trust that the unit of the operational mechanism for coordination, that these units will be deployed as expeditiously as possible to the north of the country. We urge the Malian authorities to consistently build capacity of the regular armed forces and to reclaim the lost positions in Menaka and Gao. We view the nationwide dialogue that was launched last autumn as a unifying platform to determine the country's future. However, within the framework of the obligations that have been assumed by the country under the Algiers Peace Agreement, the inclusive participation therein of all stakeholders is of paramount importance. We would draw attention to the following: such factors as high levels of interethnic tensions, persistent attacks by terrorists and extremists, delays in the restoration of institutions of state governance in the central and northern parts of the country, that these can significantly halt and even undermine the positive changes that have been observed. We are very troubled by the humanitarian situation. The victims of violence remain those who are most vulnerable, namely women, children, the elderly. We welcome the measures that have been undertaken by the authorities and by the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Mali to resolve interethnic strife and to ensure that the local self-defense forces disarm. Mr. President, the situation in Mali and the region overall continues to be beset by the consequences of the Libyan factor. There is a household name, those present on the border of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. I refer to the Liptako-Gourma triangle, where we see the juncture of all the most terrifying challenges faced by the region. We regret to note further that the malignant tumor of terrorism is spilling over into other countries of West Africa. In this connection, we support the tangible efforts undertaken by the Sahel 5 states to set up the joint force to combat terrorism and organized crime, and we welcome the counterterrorism operations conducted by them. We wish to highlight the decision of the countries of the Western African Economic Community to invest heavily to surmount the outstanding security challenges that have been mounting. The principle of African solutions to African problems is a cornerstone for nation building of sovereign states in Africa. We continue to support the Sahara-Sahelian countries bilaterally. We wish to note in particular the role played by the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Mali in facilitating the process of settlement. We believe that the mission needs comprehensive support, especially under circumstances when essentially the mission has to fulfill its mandate on two fronts concurrently, in the center and the north. At the present juncture, we are not ready to consider options to significantly reformat the parameters of its operations, nor a drawdown. By way of conclusion, I wish to extend our gratitude to the Special Representative of the Secretary General, Mr. Anadif, for his effective stewardship of MINUSMA. Thank you.
I thank representatives of Russian Federation for his statement.